Hi there, welcome along to the episode 2 of Outdoor Gear Chat. I'm joined by Cathy again. Hi.
Hello.
All right. We are talking today about the joy of moisture management. So
we are.
Love it.
Yeah, the dark voodoo art of choosing layers and wearing them effectively in the outdoors.
You made that sound a bit sinister, but like it is. Introduce yourself first, though. We do intros. Who are you?
Yeah. My name is Cathy Casey, and I am the owner and co-owner and director of the Climber Shop in Ambleside and the Joe Brown shops in Snowdonia.
And I'm Wayne, and I'm now a serial charity adventurer. Apparently,
Yeah,
I do. I'm very happy with that tag. I do loads of outdoorsy stuff, including where we met. I think was doing finish line MC work. That's where we properly met. We established last week, I think, wasn't it? We did meet before that, but after Storm Desmond.
60.
Yeah, but. So the dark art of the joy of moisture management, which I guess, cutting to the chase, we're supposed to be talking about layering, aren't we?
Yeah, but we are actually going to talk about getting sweaty.
Yeah, obviously, or to coin a phrase from another podcast, obvs. So talk to me about getting sweaty and. Flipping heck.
An amazing amount of science and technology that goes into all of the outdoor equipment that we can sell and that is available to buy in the marketplace. But we still sweat, and we have customers coming in saying, like, if I buy this, will I sweat less? And the answer is no. Sweat's actually a really, really, really good thing. If we didn't do it, we'd just explode.
Yeah.
It's a natural temperature regulation, so our bodies can maintain a safe temperature, and it gets rid of heat through evaporation while we're exercising or while we're in a hot climate. There are some key factors to sweating, because some people do sweat more than others.
Yeah.
There's genetics. You might be genetically disposed to sweat more than somebody else. There's your personal metabolism, how your body deals with food. And then there's personal fitness as well. That makes a very big difference too. But you also sweat because of emotion. And if you're nervous, you sweat. But actually, and while I was researching for this podcast, I found a scientific report in 2010 that explains that you sweat when you're happy as well. And when you sweat when you're happy, our bodies can pick up on that scent.
Yeah. And
you actually spread happiness, which is amazing.
And
I was reading this. I was like, oh my goodness, this is just amazing. How did I not know this? And when my kids are around the dinner table that evening, I was like, girls, do you know when you sweat happiness, and you can spread your happiness around by being sweaty? And they're both like, yeah, Mum, yeah, we knew that, yeah. And my eldest is like, yeah, we did that in biology at school.
Oh, so that's devastated me now.
Oh, yeah, it was on like Operation Ouch on CBeebies or something.
Yeah, of course it would. Bloody Dr. Zand and Dr. Chris and them lot. Yeah, being all inspiring and that. But that is brilliant, isn't it? So, and that explains that sort of that euphoria that you get in group activity stuff, then, doesn't it? As
definitely.
Well.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
I love the little geek gleam that you get in your eye as well when you sharing some of this. It is brilliant. I keep saying, I keep saying when I do stuff like this, I need to figure out a way of just recording them as well, so we can share that level of joy as we're both amused at each other. We are gonna sweat. I know I know I've had a few I still have got a few particularly sweaty mates who try and control it, and you're like, well, don't do that. You know, you just need to be. Yeah, it is. You need to manage it, really, I guess, which is like we say, it's the moisture management bit. So how do you get that away from the skin? Isn't it? Is really what we're after.
Yeah, and the key there is wicking, and this is a word that's bandied around a lot. Wicking this, wicking that, this wicks, that wicks, and I thought the other day, how do I explain this to customers who might not have a clue? You can get, I mean, the word's quite descriptive. You can have an idea. But I was selling a base layer actually, and a lady was saying, "Oh no, I don't like things clingy next to my body," and I can understand that. A lot of people don't like that. But there is actually a really good reason why you do want a clingy and very close-fitting base layer. And it's so that it can wick. So if you imagine, if you've got a droplet of water on a table in front of you, and you've got a piece of kitchen roll, and you dangle a corner of that kitchen roll over the drip, but it doesn't quite touch, nothing happens. The drip stays on the table, and the piece of kitchen roll stays completely dry. If you just dip the tiniest corner of that kitchen paper into the drip, you can watch it literally suck up all the water, and the water will come off the table, or there'll be just a tiny windy bit left, and all of that will have gone into your piece of kitchen roll. So that's what wicking is. And your wicking clothing can't work unless it's touching your body, and it can pick up that moisture or that sweat off of your skin, and then it can work to transport it out. And we did talk last week about waterproofs, about how your waterproof, your lovely expensive breathable waterproof, needs to have that moisture to get to it before it can pass out into the atmosphere. So it's really important that if you're spending lots of money on an expensive waterproof, you understand the way the clothing works underneath, and once you understand that, you can get the best out of your waterproof.
Right, okay, and then I guess by with that, you don't want great big baggy clothing regardless of which layer, because if those layers don't touch at all, then you're just going to get wet, basically, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. It's all part of the moisture transport sort of movement, if you like. But it's always swings and roundabouts, because you do want a little bit of gap there, because your layers, as well as wicking, they also need to insulate to keep you warm. And by far and away, the best insulator is air, because it's as light as air. It doesn't weigh anything.
It doesn't weigh anything.
No. So your clothing or technical clothing can be specifically designed to trap air in between your layers. And the more air you can trap, the toasty roasty that you'll feel. Yeah. So it keep you lovely and warm. But fit is critical, because it's a balance between trapping that air and then also allowing that moisture to transport out through each layer of your clothing to your waterproof.
And going back to the thing that we mentioned very briefly before we started recording, is the chafe factor as well. I get if everything's too tight fitting, then it's got that the nasty side effect of rubbing against your skin, he says, doing the rubbing noise, and that leads to all sorts of unpleasantness long term, doesn't it? And
it does, and I tell you what, we'll get onto that specifically when we come to underwear. Right. But the fit side of things is really important, because if you do have like bunches of clothing under your arms, for example, you're going to get nasty chafing there, and that's why you'll see a lot of garments will have things like lycra included in them. Right. It's also known as elastane and spandex, and that gives you a stretch element. So a lot of outdoor clothing will have that stretch element, so it will be very close fitting, but it needs that lycra in it to maintain its shape and to sit close to your body. But then of course you can move your arms up and around, and you can move your legs up and your knees up if you're scrambling and walking uphill for long amounts of time, and you don't have lots of loose fabric bunching up behind your knees or around your waist, and that can also lead to nasty chafing. I got an interesting fact about lycra, by the way.
Go on. You've done your little. You almost did a wink. Then I've got a little interesting fact for you. Go on. What's the interesting fact?
Well, it was originally designed in 1958 to offer an alternative to the hot and heavy rubber that was used in ladies' underwear of the time. And it's actually just come on in leaps and bounds since, and they are working a long way to make it much more sustainable. And they're moving to eco-made, which is increases or the lycra more of the lycra is made from post-consumer waste and PET plastic, single-use plastic bottle content. So there's good news to come with lycra. But in the meantime, it's there. It's in your clothing. It's actually in your nail varnish as well, if you so choose to decorate your toe and fingernails.
I haven't decorated my nails this morning, so I couldn't look at them. I did wonder where the lycra / rubber bit was going just then, but I think you recovered that very, very well. But I guess there's still that sustainability thing, isn't there? There's still plastic in that supply, and as you said last week, it is still very much. Yeah, it's still in technical clothing. If we want the best performance out of clothing in the outdoors, and regrettably at the moment, it is going to contain those unsustainable elements. Although on the flip side,
nylon is petroleum based. Lycra and polyester is petroleum based. Coolmax is petroleum based. There are, as I say, a lot of strives to improve the carbon footprint of these fabrics, but there's a cost element there, and we also have customers coming in saying, well, look, I can get a base layer for this amount of money. Why would I want to spend X, Y, and Z on a brand? Surely it does the same job. But it's kind of like there's no such thing as a free lunch, really. It won't do the job as well. It may offer a super solution for somebody just starting out, and particularly like kids who are starting out on D&V and stuff like that, still growing, when you're sort of having to go through lots of clothing as they sprout up. But really, there's a lot more to take into account. All of these fabrics, cheaper fabrics, you've got to question what type of working conditions that they've been created in.
It's that supply chain, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there's issues with slave labour in cheap clothing. We're all aware of that. But there are, again, the eco-made fabrics, as they come online and they come into more and more outdoor garments, there'll be a cost element there. You know, they will cost more, because fundamentally our investment in buying that product is making sure that the planet suffers much less. And that comes back to what we were saying the other day as well. If you're going to buy a product, buy once, buy well, make it last. You know, we sell a whole range of tapes and zip pulls and buckles and cord locks and elastics, and
all to help repair
all the time. Yeah, and there's a fabulous company in Lancashire Shoe Repairs.
Brilliant. I was just going to mention them. Yeah,
they're brilliant. They can repair anything. We've had we had a jacket back from a customer who couldn't tell us about his job, but he'd recently returned from Afghanistan and had a knife slash in his jacket, in his brand new Gore-Tex jacket, and it was clean, hasten to add. And we sent that back, and it was they did a fantastic repair on it. It looked brilliant. Yeah,
well, this jacket that I'm wearing today, I've got a Hagloffs on, and they've done a repair job on this for me previously, and the cost next to nothing, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's just it's superb. And just back to the sustainability and what's the makeup of different products. I'm a huge fan of merino as a base layer. I through probably September through till March, April time, I've pretty much got a merino base layer on constantly underneath something or other. And that what's the story with like merino wool and so on? Is it pure wool?
We sort of talked about wicking elements and things like that, and man-made fibres, and people might ask quite rightly, well, wool, surely, you know, why is that in a base layer? Merino wool it's an ultra fine wool, so it's any wool fibre below 24 microns. What that is in understandable terms is it's 1/10 of a human hair in diameter. So that means it doesn't itch, or it itches considerably less. It's very soft to the touch. It is lovely to wear next to the skin. And it absorbs moisture extremely well, but it's also good at wicking it away naturally. Yeah. It does that job when it's on the sheep. So it works very well as a temperature regulator. When it's warmer, it wicks well. You stay drier. In cooler environments, it's more insulating. Yeah. So for the weight in particular, you get a lot of warmth. And it's naturally odor resistant. It reduces the growth of odor-causing bacteria. It's the little bacteria that make the stink. Sweat actually doesn't stink when it leaves your body. But you've got different sweat glands in different parts of your body.
Right.
So some of your sweat glands, when you're nervous, emit in different parts of your body, the hairy parts. That can cause odor. You've got, going back to merino, actually, one of the negatives is it's not quite as fast drying or as light as synthetics. But as you say, in the wintertime, it's got its place. It's absolutely brilliant. If you're in cold climates, it works an absolute treat. One thing to be wary of, though, with merino, particularly cheap merino, some merino farmers use less nice practices on their sheep to ensure they maximise production. You probably don't want to go and search the word mulesing on the internet. But you can, again, if you look at manufacturers, notable manufacturers, they'll be working to make sure that procedure isn't in any of their supply chain. And there's also the IWTO, the International Wool Textile Information, which sort of suppliers can sign up to. Bridgedale Socks, for example, actually sign up to that, and to ensure that their supply chain is free of that.
And then, but brilliant. And I think the temperature regulation thing and the non-stinky thing with merino are two favourite to mine as well. Is that the ability for the wool to adapt to being out in the cold and then come into an indoor environment, and it'll help balance that out for you. And then doing multi-day stuff is that. Got to mention the brand as far as base layers go. The Helly Hansen base layers that I've got are just, that are now unfortunately honking. And I know we can do stuff about that as well as far as treating those. But the balance of wearing those for multi-day events, particularly versus merino, the smell is much more amenable for merino, I think, isn't it? But so I think we've all got the Helly Hansen base layer from. I don't know.
The smelly Helly from the 80s.
Absolutely, and that. But you do. There are products now to be able to treat that smell on base layers. I think, aren't there?
I mean, a lot of modern base layer products have it woven into them or have that treatment included. There's silver treatments, there's high Q treatments, there's all manner of different things, and a lot of those are Blue Sign certified, and Blue Sign is it's a really good standard for manufacturers to work to, and it means that product is safe. And if you think about where a base layer is on your body, it's touching all of your skin. If it's covered in chemicals, you don't want it next to your skin in a dark, wet environment.
Then you can be absorbing some of that, I think.
I mean, I've definitely got base layers that I can only go out running solitary.
Exactly.
Running in company with them.
But again, like we were saying last,
they're still perfectly good.
They still do the job.
Fabric pilling, there's no seams undone, the zips still work. I'm like, I can't get rid of this. It's a perfectly functioning piece of equipment. I just can't go out in public.
And I guess, like we were saying last week about waterproofs as well, there's just so many memories tied up in that piece of kit as well that you don't want to get rid of it. It's literally got to fall apart for you to dispose of it. I think the other thing that I wanted to mention was bamboo as well, and the emergence of sort of bamboo products, I guess, or base layers particularly that I'm seeing at the moment. Is that something that you stock? Do you have those in the shop, or?
I think currently I'm going to say no. there's two different types of manufacturing textiles from bamboo.
Right.
One of them is environmentally sound, and the other really isn't.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. One good fibre to look out for is tencel.
Right.
And that's also cellulose, or it's a cellulose fibre. So it's considered very green. It's actually made from fast-growing eucalyptus trees.
Right, yeah.
So it's fibres taken from the tree. And it's extremely good at taking excess liquid and rapidly releasing it naturally. Now, if you think about it, a tree is the ultimate in wicking machine. Yeah. So it slurps up all of that water into its trunk, and it sends it right up its trunk, doesn't matter how tall the tree is, and right out its branches into the leaves to disperse. So basically, the scientists in the laboratory have taken that capillary action, which is actually the base of all base layers, working, and built that into a fabric. So tencel is actually a good one to look out for.
Awesome. And I like that parallel with biology as well is absolutely amazing, isn't it, actually, when you think about it?
They're clever scientists.
Yeah, well, yeah, I like that. They're clever people, these scientists. So we've done...
I think actually now is the time to get into undies.
I was just looking down the list of things and thinking, well, are we into underwear? Go on then. Hit us with your undies facts.
Well, your base layer, obviously, is base layer bottoms, base layer top, as I say, will work very well next to your skin. But your choice of what goes underneath can make or break an event.
Yeah, well, quite literally. Oh, don't. This is bringing back horrible memories.
I know. I have been known to mince in Lycra very carefully towards a public toilet on the Pennine Way with a bottle of Vaseline and emerge feeling like a new woman.
Yeah. Or Sudocreme's the other one for me as well. Is like, you're never allowed to double dip in Vaseline or Sudocreme. I think that's a general rule, isn't it? Yeah, you can only dip your hand in there once, and then that's you done. But yeah. And so, what was that then? Bad underwear choice underneath the Lycra?
Yeah, well, if your underwear doesn't absorb moisture, all that sweat is gonna trickle down and puddle in places that you really don't want it to. So particularly both men and women, when you're looking at pants, look for something with quite a thick waistband. And that works well for making sure the sweat that pulls down your back doesn't settle at the bottom and cause some pretty horrendous chafing effects.
I'm feeling nauseous again thinking about them. I think it's not always mid-event that happens. It's sometimes afterwards when you're having in the shower and you just flipping heck.
Yeah, that hot water finds all those places.
Stripping the skin off.
So you wicking underwear definitely as far as the fabric's concerned, but little design features like the big or tight fitting elastic around the waist, close fitting elastic around the waist. It's always a tricky one because you don't want by the time you've got pants, you've got potentially thermal undies, you've potentially got another leg covering there, and if you've got a jacket, if you've got a rucksack strap around your waist on a multi-day backpacking trip, you can end up with an awful lot.
There's a lot a lot to rub.
And that can lead to all sorts of other things.
Well, I was just going to say then we're into bowel issues as well, which is
so pants, definitely sensible shape. That's the bigger the better. Is always a winner. Don't skimp or go flimsy on the undies.
And I guess
when it comes to
the overriding thing though, in encapsulating all of that is having performance underwear rather than just your standard.
Very definitely.
Daily underwear. It's not what and it took me a long time to realise that. Why am I having all these issues? I've got all this kit, this amazing kit, but just wearing cheap boxer shorts from wherever wasn't doing it. But and that's it now. Is wearing performance compression kit sometimes as my base layer underwear is where I go to. And then that, like you say, the waistband. Then when that starts failing, because that seems to be a common failure issue on mine. I don't know, but and then suddenly you get like the sag going on, isn't it? And then that causes other issues of chafing in other areas. Yeah, but like you say, investing in that as well as part of your layering system.
Again, it's part of your armour. Part of your movable armour. And for ladies, when it comes to bras, you definitely want something close fitting, and you want something that straps everything down
and supports everything.
There'll be a lot of ladies listening who, when I say the words Hurty Boob Day, they will absolutely know what I'm talking about. Ditch anything with wire in it. You don't want any wire going on. You want a really nice broad band around the base, because that is a real chafing area. Actually, some long events, I'll just start before I even start. There's areas that I know that are going to be an issue. Lube up before you go. And then with something with the widest straps possible on your shoulder, particularly if you're backpacking for a couple of days and you've got a heavy pack pulling down. I've had to literally physically peel my bra strap out of my shoulder a few times, and that's pretty damn unpleasant as well. So go big, go large when you get to undies.
And it was, I run with a lot of ladies of all sorts of different sizes, and we had a demonstration night actually from Brooks Bras, and they were absolutely superb. And they were saying actually nobody talks about it, but the second, the first item when you in running case anyway that you should spend money on is your trainers, but for females your second is a good sports bra, because that's and particularly I guess if you have got a large chest, it's a lot, like you say, the sore boob effect is going to make the whole experience just very unpleasant, isn't it? And
it doesn't need to be.
No,
it really doesn't need to be.
Exactly.
And that's the brilliant thing about running or any outdoor sports and activities, is it really doesn't matter. You can be any shape, any size, and just have a great day out. But one thing that has come up, and actually this came up as on our Twitter feed actually as a result of our Waterproofs podcast, is fit is extremely important. And there's a result of the comments on our Twitter feed, which are really, really helpful from ladies saying, well, what's going on with ladies' clothing fitting?
And that was Susanna. Good friend.
Really important point. I thought, well, that's interesting, because if I go to a high street shop, it doesn't make any sense, but sometimes I can pick up a size 10 and it fit, which is daft because, I'm a 12. And sometimes, at the end of lockdown, probably pushing a 14. So it didn't make any sense why I could go to a high street shop, buy a 10, come into our own shops, pick up a 12 and think, well, that's a bit snug on a pair of trousers. So I thought, so I made a matrix, made a spreadsheet of women's clothing sizes off of the size guides for all of the brands we deal with, and also a couple of just high street brands that I just plucked out. And there is anything up to an inch in difference between the cut of a garment for a size 14, for example. So it's a minefield. You really do have to try clothing on to make sure that it fits you. And it's something we're actually going to be looking into a lot more deeply.
And and I guess that's the same exchange was talking about. I think Susanna said how if you only got a couple of size 18 garments in store and so on. And I know it's for those of you listening, Susanna Cruikshank, who's a wild swimming guide up here in the Lake District, and wrote a book about it recently as well. And she's campaigning to have more sensible sizing for females who are wanting to get out and get active, because it is just it's just I mean, I'm 6'6" and 15 stone, and I find it difficult to find stuff in male sizes that's gonna fit me. I'm not bothered about stuff being short in the arm or leg necessarily all the time, but still find that hugely difficult. But for people of different body sizes, whether that's shorter or larger, it's I don't know. There just seems to be a disparity, doesn't there? For some reason, it's.
Yeah, and actually talking to our suppliers as a result of this conversation as well, there's a lot going to happen now. Unfortunately, because of the way things work in our industry, there's very, very, very long lead times. But there really is a desire to listen and a desire to push forward and to change. It does have to be balanced with. I mean, as we've just been explaining, all of the science in these garments, at the end of the day, it's got to be cost effective for the brands to continue to make stuff and survive. So it is a very, very careful balance. And if you look at the high street, for example, at how many shops offer different clothes for different sized people, that's never going to happen. Well, it can't happen actually, as far as the planet's concerned, for technical clothing. But there must be, and there will be a way.
There's got to be a balance somewhere within that as well, isn't it? And I guess, and again, the other thing that came out of that same Twitter exchange was colour, wasn't it? There was a good few people going, I'm sick of female clothing just being pink or purple. And it's just and I'm a massive fan of pink, and I'm like, well, why do guys' clothing not come in that that high that well? And I guess not many would wear it is the answer to that question. I'm fairly unique, I think, but from not all women want pink and purple. It's
no, and we're trying year on year we're in a permanent quest to improve our colour palette, and this year actually I think we were sort of looking at the shops now. All of the products are we just had another couple of massive deliveries, and I hope our customers agree. We've got one of the best colour palettes that we've ever been able to offer, but it's the customers who decide.
Yeah, well, of course it is, and I think I'd mentioned the other day I came up and bought some. Came up to the shop in Ambleside the other day with my daughter and bought her a climbing harness and a few carabiners, and Paul. No, it wasn't Paul. It was Andy. Andy said, "What colour do you want?" And she just went purple. I don't care. I just want purple ones. And then you're like, all right. Well, I know she's only 8, but it was very much like all this variety of colour on there. And she said, I don't care what it is. I just want purple ones. So get 2 different purple ones. So back to the joy of moisture management. I'm conscious of time, but because we're already up to 32 minutes on timing.
Crikey.
So, and I know it's we can always revisit it another time, but we'd said we want to keep these in bite-sized chunks, which are easy to listen to, and I think we've covered all the key points that we initially said. So we've done keeping warm, staying dry, what wicking's all about. Talked about sustainability and a little bit about maintenance as well. But there are products now that will help you maintain your base layer. We've talked about undies. We haven't. I was going to say we haven't talked about feet, about socks yet, but we're going to come on to that next week as far as foot care is concerned as well. But is there anything else? Have you got any top geek facts that you wanted to get across in closing on this one? I like that. She's scrabbling around now, looking. There is one that is it?
Surrounded by notes here.
I was going to say there's just too many. I'm overwhelmed with facts.
I don't want to scare people off with the amount of science, but I think the key one is learning how your body and layers work together. Is something that only experience can bring. And it's great to use things like product reviews and things like that. Talking with friends, talking with staff as well. As I said last week, we spent years being uncomfortable in the outdoors. We can share our experience, so you don't have to. There's so much to learn, but it really is a trial and error. But the key thing, if you're feeling cold, The only source of heat, clothing doesn't create heat to keep you warm, is you need to eat and you need to drink.
Yeah.
That is the, other than sort of basking in sunshine, food is absolutely critical to keeping you warm. And hats and gloves are the ultimate layers. Of course, we talked about hats very, very well. I wouldn't say in depth, but in our enthusiast podcast, your other hat.
And then we've got gloves coming up as well, haven't we? So I think we should probably revisit hats from a technical perspective as well. Actually, it'd be a good.
We can, because they're really important, and for something that you can just roll up, stick my hats or gloves inside my hat and roll it up into a sausage and chop it into the top of my rucksack, so that it doesn't matter what the weather is. It could be sunny. But the key thing is you've got additional heat there, a layer. If anything does happen, just popping hats and gloves on makes a huge difference.
And you never know when something's going to happen, do you, either?
No, you don't. You talk to any of our mountain rescue friends, some of our staff are on mountain rescue as well, and it with the best intentions, you can go out and accidents do happen.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I've found that over recent months, to be perfectly honest. There's a couple of, I've just been, out for a jog or whatever, and just, suddenly come across something, and you're like, right, I wish I had a bit of extra kit on me, just well, we'll maybe go into that another time, actually. Is what you chill down unbelievably fast, I fell over on I was actually gutted. I was 15 miles into a 23-mile run, and I was on for a good time as well. I fell over. And it was a warm autumn day, and I had everything with me. I got an extra layer. If I needed, I'd got a bag to crawl into, but I couldn't move my shoulder at all. I probably sort of semi-dislocated it at the time. And luckily I fell over at the feet of some lovely walkers. And looked after you.
And I knew I was going to chill down, so I was sort of getting my layer on, and I realised I'd got a pullover, waterproof, as an extra layer to protect me, and I couldn't get that over my shoulder and my arm because I couldn't move my arm.
Because you couldn't pull it over.
No, I couldn't. No. So now I'm like, customers come in wanting a running jacket, I'm like, buys it, full links it every time.
You
can just wrap it around yourself. And these lovely walkers lent me their jacket, and I could walk back out to the road, and my husband came pick me up and took me off to the hospital. But no, it is astonishing how quickly you chill down. Take extra layers with you. Check your forecast before you go out in the hills. Take extra layers, because if you're cold, you can't put on a layer that you didn't bring with you. Just put it in. Put it in your pack.
And that, I think, as I've seen so many times recently, is try and check the mountain weather if you're going on the mountains, as opposed to an app. I'm not going to name any specific ones, but we're actually just in the process of printing. They'll be in the shops in the next week or so. Small business cards that have information for the Mountain Weather Information Service, the country code, and just a few questions like, have you thought about this? Don't forget to pack that. Have a great time out in the hills. Really, really enjoy yourself and enjoy the outdoors. Yeah. Awesome. Well, let's leave it there. We'll be back again next week. So this is the Outdoor Gear Chat. Thank you very much, Cathy. And I've been Wayne. Thanks to Lake District Radio, because we're using their studios to record this in this week. And if you have liked it, obviously give us a like, give us a subscribe on certain platforms, certain podcast platforms, and give us a share as well. Tell your mates.
Yeah, you can find more information on our website at www.climbers-shop.com, and loads of knowledge on our website, www.joebrownoutdooracademy.com.